Hi, and welcome to the 5-day Makeover Challenge. Today is day 2, and this is the live question and answer session. I have a number of questions that were posted in the group, and I would like to address them first. Hi, thank you for joining. The first question was, what is the best or resolved way to overcome an obstacle or challenge when in quarantine? So I assume you mean sheltering in place. If you mean more than that, please repost. But if you, like so many of us, are, hi Linda, thank you for coming back. If you are hey Bruce, thank you for joining. The question is about how to overcome obstacles or challenges when sheltering in place. That is, when you're stuck at home. So let's take a look at that. First of all, I have 4 different areas, if you've read the worksheet, 4 areas that you can focus on. It could be relationships, it could be money, it could be purpose, and it could be health. Now let's look at each one of these in turn and see what you could do, what you can do to address those issues while staying at home. So let's look at relationships. All right. First thing, you're at home, maybe alone. So maybe you're realizing, I want a different kind of relationship. I want something more intimate. Or maybe you're stuck at home with your partner and you're thinking, I think we need to get this better. And so this is an opportunity, this being at home, when all your distractions are removed, that you can actually see what's going on. You have no place to hide. Well, that's not entirely true. It's perfectly possible for you to endlessly get yourself on Google and Google the COVID-19 virus and not pay attention to anything. But I'm inviting you to step up, to take this opportunity, to focus on yourself, to focus on your situation, to notice what's working and what's not. So that would be the number 1 thing that you would do during this challenge. Number 2, you can actually start making differences. You can start making changes. That's one of the things that I do for my clients, is to provide them with tools in which to improve their relationships, to improve the way in which they communicate, to ask for what they want if they're afraid of expressing their desires, to address the fears that come up. So that's the other thing that happens when you are stuck at home and you take action, is the fears are going to arise. But that's okay, because that's an opportunity to make a breakthrough. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about obstacles and barriers and what is likely to come up so that you can be prepared. So that's relationships. You can, if you're home alone and you don't have a relationship, you can actually take action. There are plenty of online dating places. Maybe you want to post a profile. This is an opportunity for you to find out, identify who you really are. And if you were working with me, I would encourage you to be authentic. Not to put on a facade, not to pretend that you're somebody else in order to get more likes, to get more responses. Because actually, that's not who you want to attract. You want to attract somebody who loves you for being you. But in order to do that, you need to find out what being you means, or who being you means. And those are the tools that I provide for my clients, is to really step into self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance. So in addition, you can actually reach out to people that you already know. People are dying for contact. Every time I get on a phone call with somebody, family member, friend, they don't want to get off the phone. They want that contact. Hi, Mira, thank you for joining. Welcome. So they want that contact. So you can start working on your relationships just by reaching out. And of course, remember that we now have Zoom, which is an amazing platform for meeting people face to face. Although I have to tell you, it's being used a lot right now, so sometimes the bandwidth is not quite up to par. And there are many other options. There's Skype, there's FaceTime, there's Google Hangout, that you can actually start to develop those relationships and improve them, to learn to ask for what you want and what you need in a way that allows the other person to be themselves as well. Okay, that's relationships. So how about health? The COVID-19 virus will bring up issues around health. I mean, we're afraid that we're going to get sick. Haven't you started to notice that you're just a little bit more hypochondriacal than normal? Last night I had a little bit of a dry throat, and I'm saying, oh no, it's a sore throat. And I really thought that I was going to wake up in the morning sick. And in the middle of the night, I was really hot, and I was saying, oh no, am I got a fever? But I actually did some things like taking zinc tablets, and I woke up and I was fine. And I was like, oh, I'm so relieved that I'm not sick. But yes, this current global challenge really brings up fear. But that's good, because you get to actually look at what your fears are. And you can actually start to address, how healthy are you? If you have health challenges and that's putting you at risk, what can you do to improve? And there is, hey, we live in a time when you can access all the information in a library with a few touches of your fingers on your keypad or your keyboard. So explore that. How can you improve your health? A year ago, I totally changed my diet and my husband's diet because I read a book on brain health, on being smart. And because my father died from Alzheimer's, I really took this book seriously. And there was tons of research in there. And I changed my diet immediately. And yes, it cost some money because I had to throw out a whole bunch of stuff. But I actually lost a bunch of weight. I'm more healthy, I'm more energetic, and best of all, I sleep better. So yes, you're stuck at home, what a perfect time to explore your health, to see how you can do better, how you can feel better, how you can have more energy. And guess what? This lockdown, this quarantine doesn't mean that you can't go outside and walk around. And I'm walking more now than I ever did. And it's spring here in California. It's a beautiful time to walk. Okay, so maybe if you're living in Minnesota, it's still snowy out there. But I would say bundle up and get out there anyway. I know, I lived in Minnesota. I used to run in sub-zero temperatures, so don't give me any excuses. So that's health. Purpose. Oh my gosh, what a perfect time to explore your purpose right now. To find out who you are, what you want. Dreaming, pay attention to your dreams. Meditate, allow your thoughts to flow. Don't get upset. I know meditation, you're supposed to have a blank mind, but meditation is also an opportunity for your higher self to send you messages. So listen to those, take notes, write down things, and most of all, keep track of what you're grateful for. That's going to help you to identify what you want in your life, what you want to bring, and what do you have to offer other people. So again, this global scare gives you an opportunity to be of service. And what I have found in the years of being a coach is that what we need most of all is to be of service. It actually makes us feel good. Finally, money. Okay, you may be thinking that money, whoa, that's a big challenge. Maybe you've been laid off. Maybe you can't go to work. Maybe you're a freelancer, you work on people's hair or nails or you're a restaurateur and you literally can't make money right now. Well, this is an opportunity to think out of the box. What can you do online that people might be willing to pay something for? And if they aren't willing if it's not necessarily to pay, like creating recipes for people, what else can you do that will to build your clientele so that when the quarantine finally ends, when the lockdown finally ends, people are going to be rushing to your place because you've given so much service. So I want you to think about that. How can you utilize, these are different times. And in fact, it was probably already going in that direction anyway. So what can you do? How can you make use of this time to study, to see what other people are doing? But most important of all, remember your purpose. What are you here to do? And what are your gifts? And then how can you make that into a money-making enterprise? And that's the other thing I do with my clients is I help them to get over the issues of self-esteem and worthiness and self-sabotage so that you can actually do those kinds of take those kinds of actions and really create your entrepreneurship. Okay, so remember that when there is a downturn like this, when the stock markets are all over the place, some people see it as, oh, I can't do anything. But other people see it as opportunity. So that's what the lesson is that I invite you to take. This is an opportunity. Now, I had another question, so I'm going to look at that. How can this life-challenging shakeup be used to connect more deeply to inner wisdom? Can it, or is there too much fear and limitation, destruction going on around? There is never too much fear or destruction. In fact, it is when we are faced with challenges that the best of us shows up. It is when we can no longer distract, when we no longer have a choice, that we actually have to show up, when we actually have to tap into our higher wisdom to find out what our next steps are. Meditation, meditation, meditation. Check inside. And yes, the wisdom is always there. The only thing is that most of the time we're too busy distracting ourselves. We're too busy being busy. We're too busy taking care of other people. Now is the opportunity. Now is the time to go in deep and feel what's going on. And I'm here to support you in that. That's what this 5-day challenge is all about. To go deep. And I hope that you've been doing it, and please post your results in the group, or at least send them to me by private message if you're a little too shy. Although I invite you to get over that shyness. There are only 19 people in this group, so don't worry about it. Just do it. In fact, that's the way in which you start to break through your fears. And if you're feeling fear, this is good too. Because part of the work that I do is helping people to manage their emotions. Not manage in the sense of how to crush them or tamp them down, but actually how to release the emotional energy. How to utilize those fears as a doorway to finding out what your true issues are. So those are the 2 questions. If you have questions, go ahead and post. I will deal with them in my next question answer session. I'm going to work on some other questions that you might have that you haven't posted, such as how do you decide what to work on? Now, I hope you looked at the training this morning, because what I did was I talked Michelle through a process of going inside. And you can listen to that. And then when she starts talking, you can turn that part off. But you can use my coaching for you to go deep inside and find out what area of your body is feeling blocked. You can use that to go into your body and check out each of those areas by seeing how your heart feels. So what do you feel when I say the word love? Do you feel a welling up? Do you feel a tingling down below? Give yourself a 10 or a 5, a positive. But if you feel a sinking feeling, if you feel an ache, then maybe that's more like a 1 or a 2, and that you need to do something about it. and go through all 4 areas and ask yourself, how does this feel? How does it feel? How does my health feel? How do I feel about my health? Am I judgmental? Do I feel a tension somewhere? Do I have little voices in my head saying, "Oh, you're too fat"? That's how you know where you need to work. Okay, relationships. So health. How is your energy? How is your weight? And is there pain? Those are 3 areas that I think of when I think about health. Am I happy with my weight? Usually this means, can I fit into my clothing or not without feeling like a stuffed sausage? How about energy? Can I get out and take my walk? Is that a problem? And I have to say, I have very high energy. But I told you, I already changed my diet, so that helped. Pain. Now, we do have, as you get older, you do have pain, aches, and sometimes you start to have arthritis. I do activities every day to keep my body in motion. These bodies are made to move. And if you're not moving, that may be something that you need to look at. Relationships. So here's a really good time to look at boundaries. If you're stuck in a house with somebody else, where are the boundaries? Are you taking care of your needs, or are you busy taking care of somebody else's needs? If you don't feel self-confident about expressing yourself, try it out. See what shows up. If it ignites fear, great. Now we can go deeper. Money. Do you have enough money? Are you having fears about money? Did the stock market go down for you, and has that affected that? Now, the opportunist said, oh, look at all those cheap stocks I can buy. Well, maybe you don't have money right now to do that. But what else can you do? How can you think out of the box? And I already went over this, but how can you think about this in a different way? Because a lot of times it's how you perceive. It's your perception that influences how you feel. Can you change your perception? Can you see an opportunity in your money situation? Then, what else do I have here? Okay, so money is one of the things that heightens our fear, right? It's really about survival. And when we don't have money, it really brings up that survival mode. But this is perfect because it gives you an opportunity to see all the thoughts, all the patterns that you developed since childhood. So it's a wonderful time to explore what you need to explore. And guess what? We still have 3 more days. So I'm here. Post your questions and let's get you a breakthrough. Finally, purpose. So you want to do this self-inventory. Find out, what am I doing? Are there parts of myself that I have not been paying attention to? Are there talents or gifts that I have been ignoring? Is there something that I could explore right now? Like, have you ever wanted to be an artist? What about starting to draw or to paint? I mean, what a perfect time. You're stuck at home, right? Or maybe you want to try yourself at speaking. Oh my gosh, you can get on Facebook Live and you can talk yourself blue and find out what your talents are. You could create a play. There are so many opportunities for how you can be of service to other people. So let's take a look for a moment about what might be holding you back from identifying the area or even doing the inventory to find out what it is that you need to change. Fear can come up. You already might be in fear from the global challenge that's going on right now. But fear is where we need to start. Fear is the doorway. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of change? And if you're afraid of change, how can you break through that fear. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that tomorrow, about blocks and barriers and how they show up and how they get in the way and what you can do. And I'll share my own story about that. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own story about taking advantage of a crisis. So years ago, my husband left me. I had issues around abandonment, and sure enough, I created that. It took him 15 years to do it, but he eventually left me. And so what did I do? I joined a spiritual community where relationships didn't matter. I thought if I avoided the problem would go away. And to an extent it did, and to an extent it didn't. On the one hand, I felt wonderful, exalted, hanging out in higher space, in that divine ethereal realm. What I have come to learn, however, is that is fine some of the time. Even my own Sufi teacher said 50% of the time spiritual. That means the rest of the time you need to be living in this world and making a difference. Why are you here? If you were just here to hang out in the spiritual realm, you'd be dead. You'd be on the other side. You don't need to be here. You are here for a reason, for a purpose. And what is your purpose? Why are you here? What do you need to accomplish? Fear will help you to identify where your blocks are, where your barriers are from early on in your life. And that's where a lot of them started. And I've already talked about this. We were born into families where our parents weren't perfect, and they didn't know that besides food, shelter, clothing, we actually need attention. We need reassurance. We need love. But we don't need overprotection, because that actually creates more fear. We need space to grow. And we need encouragement in taking that space. We need to grow and make mistakes. But our parents were not given a training manual, an operations manual when we came into the world. And so we had certain experiences, and we developed patterns that helped us survive. So my pattern was pleasing. Some people, if the family is particularly dangerous or volatile or violent, they develop a pattern of controlling because they want to be safe. In both cases, you're trying to manipulate the outside world. The true objective as you grow older is to learn how to take care of yourself. You're no longer dependent on your parents, but the patterns become so deeply ingrained that it's hard to let them go. That's the work that I do, is to train, to give people the tools to break those patterns and to have that support so that they don't fall down into the dragon's pit. And I've been in the dragon's pit many times. Most recently, I think I talked about this Monday, most recently was this issue of creativity, that I didn't feel like I was creative enough, because when I was growing up, there were two older sisters who were really accomplished, and a mother who was an artist who actually sold her toys to toy designers. So I didn't feel like I was enough. And I had already developed this pattern of damsel in distress to attract somebody to come and save me. And my mother she just fed right into that. And it was a pattern that I had completely forgotten about until I started working on my website. And I went to my husband and I asked for his opinion. And he was really critical. And I went right down into the dragon pit. And I realized, here I was. I wanted his help, but I didn't want his criticism. He's a perfect training tool. He is the perfect partner, because I eventually realized, what the heck? Why can't I do this myself? I can figure this out. And once I got over the emotions that I had around being worthless and not enough and stupid and all the rest of those negative things, I was able to move forward. I actually created a one-page website in one day. So here, this is like an amazing opportunity, an amazing time to explore yourself, to change your life. So go ahead, do the self-assessment. please post in the timeline. Send your questions, share your celebrations, and come back tomorrow when we look at the blocks and the barriers, the kind of things that trigger you into falling into the dragon's pit. In the meantime, enjoy the beautiful day. Play as well as explore. Play is part of the process of developing that creativity. And be brilliant. That's all for now. See you tomorrow.